Today's guest conversation is with Baseball Forward's own, the one and only Coach Jim Schwanke. Here's episode 56 of the Baseball Forward podcast. Coach Schwanke, good morning. Wait, good afternoon. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to talking about the evolution of baseball forward.
Yeah, this has been fun. And I want to say this as we start episode 56 of the Baseball Forward podcast. You and I were just kind of talking about some of the statistics. Man, it's overwhelming. I want to say, number one, it has been a blast working with you. This has been some of the most fun times of my life. And I've learned so much. I'm learning so much. And I'm 45 years old. And I feel like I'm this high school or this middle school kid that's learning the game for the first time. And I felt like I had a pretty good knowledge coming into this whole baseball forward stuff. And I just want to let you know, man, we started this in August of 2024. Here we are in May 1st of 2025. We've done 55 episodes of the Baseball Forward podcast. We've launched our website, and coming soon, Thursday, May 8th, we'll have content subscriptions available on the website. And what we're going to talk about today is on the mind maps and what we have coming down the funnel. I just want to say thank you. It's been a blast. I have thoroughly enjoyed being your friend, but like listening to your mind work, listening to the interviews, getting to know more guys, networking in the world, having the opportunity to become friends with Coach Gary Ward. I mean, it has been the thrill of a lifetime for me. So episode 56 of the Baseball Forward podcast, Jim Schwanke, I just want to say thank you. And I'm excited about what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, we're going to get things set up on the site, the meat and potatoes of this stuff that we want to deliver to players, parents, and coaches. It's a situation where the game is so overwhelming, and you know it now as you're coaching your sons that there is so much information out there that everybody's looking for the quick fix. And what we're trying to do is give people and players and coaches a mind map to explore the game and internalize those things and make them their own.
I'll say this, where we're going with this, the direction of this podcast today. We're going to let you guys know kind of what we have coming down the pipeline, from content perspective and from a company perspective. I think when we first started Baseball Forward, Jim, it was kind of touch and feel and see what the audience reacts to, what we really want to try to accomplish with Baseball Forward. And that's what kind of been fun, is flying by the seat of your pants, but paying attention to kind of what's going on in the game and what's going on around us. And what we've decided in the route we're taking is we're going to launch our content subscriptions next week, and our content subscriptions will be based on what we are going to call our Baseball Forward Mind Map series. And anytime we explain content in great detail, we're going to put it in what we call a mind map. And when you're watching this episode of the Baseball Forward podcast on YouTube, you'll be able to see a graphic that will come up, and it's going to show you what the mind map is. So if you're listening to this, just imagine putting any topic that you ever thought about in the center of a piece of paper, circling it, and then spider webbing out with ideas and content that surrounds your main topic. Where we got that is you and I were sitting in Stillwater, Oklahoma. I think it was in December or January, and Coach Ward. And again, guys, I'm going to say this, like Coach Schwanke and Coach Ward, two of the smartest, most brilliant minds I've ever witnessed. And we're sitting there talking with Coach Ward, and as he's got a piece of paper, and he has what I just described, a mind map down. I say, "Hey, Coach Ward, what is that? What are you doing?" And he said, "Ross, every time I have a conversation of value, or we're discussing a topic, I put the topic in the middle of the paper, and then I spider web, ideas out of things that I want to rethink about, or things that I want to put more thought into after the conversation. So we're sitting there, a couple days later, and I'm like, man, Coach Ward's concept of how he processes information. He takes mind maps and he breaks any topic you want, any topic you can think of. He'll break it down into main category and these subcategories. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's what it is. So as we've been, working it out, the idea of, okay, for the listeners and the users and the feedback we've received is, I know this. People want to know what's in your brain. They want to know what's in Coach Ward's brain. So what we've decided to do is decided to take that mind map concept, and what we're going to do is we're going to base all of our content around 5 main topics, or what we'll call our baseball forward pillars of baseball. That will be offense, defense, pitching, training, and support. Let me say that again. The 5 pillars of baseball forward will be offense, defense, pitching, training, and support. In any topic as it relates to baseball will fall into those 5 categories. And what we will do is we will create a mind map for every single topic that we have. So if you're listening to this Baseball Forward podcast today, guys, just know this. Anything you can think of, and we already have a huge foundation of content. Our content library is massive, as you can imagine. But anything that you can think of baseball will be put into a simplified mind map edition, where you can break certain categories that you're interested in learning about or knowing more about in terms of baseball. Break it down, learn it, and have it available for use at any time. Coach Schwanke, what are your thoughts on everything as we're getting started?
Well, when you go back to the original, looked like a giant sketch etching that Coach Ward had on bunting. I mean, literally. Yeah. And we bunted, right? We stayed out of the double play. We did it with runners at first and third. Certainly didn't do it much, but here was a giant artist's pad of stuff for bunting, and it was almost artistic. And so what you do is, in our whole concept here, our whole goal is to get to this. If I knew then what I know now, what would I have done differently as a player, as a coach, as a parent? And so we're trying to deliver that information from guys and people that have been through this thing, and break it down and simplify it so a parent or a player or coach can go through an index and get to a specific thing, explore it himself, and make it their own, right? And so just to give you an example, we were sitting there talking about defense, right? You're sitting there and you watch the Texas Rangers lose a game to the San Francisco Giants. Now think about losing the pennant by 1 game. If you're the Texas Rangers and you're eliminated from the playoffs, and you go back and look at this play, right? And one of the things that we really prided ourselves, Skip Bertman really prided himself on, is when scouts would come to town, they go, boy, you guys play the game the right way. And so we would practice and stage mistakes to make sure people were going to the right place. And all I said to you that day was, well, look at the right fielder. He didn't go opposite. And you went, what? I said, well, when the ball goes to the third baseline, the right fielder immediately needs to break to the right field foul line and close the distance in case the ball gets thrown away. Right? That's playing the game the right way. You have to practice that. You have to stage it. You have to practice it. How do you practice it? Well, we're going to talk about that when we cover defense and situational play, which is part of defense. But the ball got thrown past the first baseman, and as it rolls by the first baseman, you see the right fielder still in his position, and then he takes off. Well, the batter runner is on his way to second. He's going to go to third. The guy picks the ball up. Now, where's the left fielder? Did the left fielder go like crazy to the left field line and go to the wall when the ball went down the right field line? Go opposite? No. So the ball gets thrown away, and the guy scores on a swinging bunt, and they lose 2-1. Now, that play wasn't done right. But those are big leaguers, right? But so what? That may cost them a pennant.
That's right.
Right? So when you talk about the pillars, playing just defense, we just talked about part of that, the positional play, all the information that's out there about infield, outfield, catching, PFP, the things you have to do religiously as a defender. We're going to cover that stuff. Pitching, obviously, is it's the biggest part of the game. You start the game with the ball in the defender's hands. Let's go. 286 events in a major league game. How many pitches are thrown on the average? And it starts with the guy in the mound. Well, that's a huge part of the game. That's a huge pillar. You know, we had Chad Durbin on the other day who pitched 15 years, and we're going to bring him back because he is going through it with his high school kids. Now they're going to college, right? And the things he's learned as an ex-big leaguer dealing with young kids is mind-blowing. If I knew then,
that's right.
I know now. Well, we're going to give that to families, and that's part of the whole idea.
I love it because there's, I think one of the coolest things about baseball to me is at this stage is you always hear the adage, yeah, you never seen that before, man. You never seen that before. Like you always see something different. I watch baseball every day, whether it's highlights or a game, something, but I feel like I always see something regularly that I've never seen before. And that's what keeps me coming back to the game is, yeah, I played it and I was able to coach, here in locally in Dallas. And I've got 2 sons doing it, living and breathing it. But what is to my core, what I love so much about the game is there's really no way of perfecting it, but there's a way of doing it at a really high level that looks clean and is beautiful and it's rhythmic, and it's routine, it's monotonous. And I just think baseball is the greatest game alive, but greatest game in the world. And what I'm so excited about is having 2 boys. When I tell my boys, when I first started talking with Coach Schwanke, and I told my boys, hey, what's baseball forward? And, they're asking about, business stuff. And I tell them who you are. What? Everybody knows who LSU is. Coach Schwanke, Coach Ward, Oklahoma State, Coach Schwanke, LSU national champion. When you hear the resumes behind baseball forward, and then you get to hear the minds work, it is one of the most, it's just been, like I said earlier, it's a thrill of a lifetime for me, but you're always learning and the game is so beautiful. That's what keeps me coming back is I'm always learning. There's always a new situation. And you know what? There's always a more efficient way to do it. There's probably always a better way to say it. And that's, I think the goal of the mind maps is when I say to the audience from my perspective, when I have other dads calling me, Ross, hey, so-and-so is not, he's in a little bit of a slump. Hey, he's not feeling it here. Hey, how do you recommend we handle this coach? Anything that I'm dealing with right now, I'm in the fire end. These are the types of things that we're going to talk about, but all the problems that exist within the game that we think are problems, there are solutions to. You just have to prepare. So the mind map concept, again, will be based on the 5 pillars: offense, defense, pitching, training, and support. So anything from, in the training, anything from strength and conditioning, we'll have strength and conditioning coaches on. We'll have, arm care type guys. We'll have mental guys, support, whatever our MO is, elevating the next generation. Whatever we can do to help elevate the next generation, that's what we're going to do.
Well, when you talk about support, it comes in 2 forms. It comes from coaches supporting their program, supporting their team, their players, and there's the parental side of this, which is more influential when they're young. And you gotta understand that when you're a parent, you gotta let kids grow through adversity. There's a lot of things. I mean, every time I go to the game now or watch kids, I'm looking at it differently. There are things that I've seen the last couple of weeks that just amaze me. And we'll certainly talk about that stuff later. From a coaching perspective, I mean, I have 150 audio tapes of Coach Ward's conversations with himself, basically putting his information that he's archived into a form that we're going to transcribe and give it to coaches and give it to players in an organized way that they can make their own.
Yes.
Again, they're going to get to learn what this guy learned in a magnificent career, right? And then when you talk about training, you know, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the world that that you just go, there's too much information. How do you simplify it down? Who was Warren Spahn's pitching coach and his mental coach when he won 363 games in the big leagues?
Boy.
Think about that. That's 18 years of 20 wins. We don't even have one or two 20-game winners every year in the season now.
Wow.
Big league level.
Good point.
So how did he do that? And Coach Ward knew him. And how did he do that versus what's going on now with all the oblique injuries that we have, all the surgeries that we have that are rampant? And obviously the skill level is higher. They throw harder. But when do you really want to throw your hardest? You want to throw your hardest when you get to the big leagues, not when you're 15 years old. The body has to grow. So there's some things that we believe that need to be, emphasized: rest and recovery time and downtime, and play more than one sport and get out there and have some fun doing things. And then from an offensive standpoint, I mean, that's a whole animal by itself. When you talk about hitting, base running, things that need to be done on an everyday basis. How do you get kids to learn to take the risk as a baseman, right? How do you take that and not worry about a reaction from a coach or a parent about getting thrown out? How do you study the game as an offensive player as a kid and develop your mind to compete and succeed and handle the toughness of that job? Batter's box is tough, baby.
Yeah, it is.
You had fun humiliating people on the mound. And so that becomes something that we need to boil it down and make it real simple and understand that there aren't any one minute quick fixes.
Yes.
Ongoing process. And so those 5 pillars: support, training, offense, defense, and pitching, those are the things that are step one. And then it'll trickle down, and this stuff will get added to over time. And our subscribers will have access to that stuff as it gets added to your game and your ability to look at it and turn it into something that your child and your team and you yourself can use.
Talking with Coach Jim Schwanke, 3-time national champion, on the Baseball Forward podcast, episode 56. Coach Schwanke, I'm just curious, just in the flow of this conversation, man. When I hear what I wish I would have known then, what I know now, when I say that to you as a coach, because you and I had a conversation the other day about just parenting, actually, and you sent me a text and said you might want to get out of this select BS, basically, right? And you always have a very thoughtful sentiment behind anything you say to me. So I want to let's talk about that. I real quick, and I want to know, because I played baseball, you coached at the highest levels, and you sent me a text who I'm an assistant coach of my little boy's 11-year-old team. But I'm curious what that text meant to you, and maybe someone out there listening that's struggling or thinking about coaching their kids, not sure. What did it mean to you, Coach Schwanke?
Well, it goes back again to when I was a kid, right? So my dad passed away when I was 8 years old, and my mom had to work hard and raise the 3 boys. And so I'd come home from school and I used my imagination. I mean, for hours, I'd bounce a tennis ball against a red brick garage wall, go down to the corner, play on a dirt basketball court with a light that our neighbor, with a hoop with a light on the top that our neighbor created for us, which was fantastic. I'd go in the backyard and I'd draw batter's boxes with the plate and play a game in my mind, right? And so my mind and my imagination and the ability to, be Louis Dampier at the University of Kentucky, or Willie, the guys from Texas Western that upset them. In your mind, you're playing the game all the time. Well, I don't see that now. I see a kid go home and get PlayStation out, start playing a game, and he gets beat, and he resets it, starts over. And the mind, the imagination. I used to sit in front of the TV with a game on Saturdays, because it was only once a week. It was a Yankee game, with the bat and swing it at the TV, because I'm doing, I guess, reality TV or reality, put goggles on now and you see pitches coming on. I'm doing it with a TV. My mom would get scared because she thought I was going to let the bat go and, break the TV. But so that freedom to do things mentally and dream and see myself doing that stuff turned me into, I thought, the best player I could be. Now today, that time is taken away from kids for a lot of different reasons. The fields are locked up, right? I used to have to dummy. We'd have our coach dummy lock Frisco Wakeland High School, so we could sneak in there. And every day every weekend he'd get a memo from the AD going, how are those baseball players sneaking on the field, right?
Hawley.
Well, we wanted to be out there hitting with 3 or 4 guys. My son and McCracken and Brian O'Hearn, guys were hitting, right? And doing stuff. And then you get kids to go to a DBAT facility to hit, and you just dump them off, and they stay there for 2 or 3 hours, right? Well, that's what we used to do. We used to get on our bike and ride over to Little League fields and knock the ball around. Ted Williams used to do that. And so my comment to you was, rather than spending your time dealing with 10, 12, 14 guys on a roster and making sure everybody shows up and getting everything organized for a 1-hour practice, I think a parent might be better served to pick up their son or their daughter and a couple teammates and go find a place to let them explore the game for a couple hours and have fun doing it. And that relationship with your son or daughter would grow during that time. And just throwing that out there, rather than being at home, dealing with a bunch of parents, trying to figure out what field you could practice on, dealing with a budget for a select baseball team. Let somebody else do that. You take your kid to those games, let them play, sit back and watch.
Wow.
And that was the basis. I mean, the freedom to play and imagination and imagine the game at the highest level, going to a basketball court and just feeding your kid the ball for hours, letting them shoot. Where does that go? It's funny. You can get on tennis courts everywhere, play pickleball now.
Yep.
And tennis, but you can't get on a baseball field. It's amazing to me.
You know what? You say that, and man, that resonates so much with me, the imagination thing, because something that I am loving as a dad, I had a twin brother, and I genuinely think the reason why I had any success as a baseball player at any level was because I had a twin brother to go, your word, explore the game with. Jim, we used to go out with whatever ball we could find. I mean, it wasn't a baseball. Maybe it was like a lacrosse ball, whatever ball we could find. And we would just throw missiles at each other, ground balls, pretending like we were going in the backhand, Omar Vizquel, Nephi Perez. And I'm pretending like I'm those guys.
Right.
And when I hear you say explore, like for me as a dad, that the text message resonated, because I'm like, okay, I listened to what you say about that, and I'll take into consideration. But moreover, it is so much fun still exploring the game. The highlight of my day, no matter what, is going out and hitting fungos, playing catch, teaching spin on a baseball, talking about your pitching mechanics, whatever it is. And man, that's the thing that fires me up about this is I know where your heart's at. I know where my heart's at. I know where Coach Ward's heart at is, man, he is all about exploring and being childlike and just enjoying the game. And I think this mind map concept in what we're doing with Baseball Forward is going to accomplish that.
Yeah. I mean, just think about kids, Willie Mays grew up in New York, playing stickball.
Yep.
Introduced that to our guys at Oklahoma State, during downtime, and we'd get together and monkey around with it. And those kids love that.
Yeah, that's
well,
right.
street right out here, my house, where
Yep.
we played stickball.
Yep.
With Willie. Not very often, not as much as maybe we should have or could have, but explore those things and support your child. Don't coach them. Let coaches coach them. Let them take what they're learning about themselves and take it to a situation where someone who has experience can draw some more stuff out of them. And it's just amazing the stuff you hear at games, and it's normal, I guess, in this day and age, but I don't think it's the best thing. And we're trying to create situations where we'll be able to help parents with the baseball experience and really have fun with it. I mean, the playoffs are starting, today in Texas, right?
Yep.
And there'll be pressure the last 3 or 4 weekends of the college baseball season, and that starts. And all this stuff boils down to who can perform with freedom under pressure more times than the other guy. And how do you develop that? It starts when they're 10 years old. There are kids that play in my grandson's leagues that are feeling pressure every time they go to home plate. And I don't know why. Well, I do know why, but I don't think they should, and they don't have to. If they're told, they don't have to. If they learn, they don't have to. Right? So that's part of the experience. And that's true with coaching and coaches at every level. I was blessed to play for some of the best. And I can remember getting blown out to start a basketball game, and we were pretty good. We were smart. We were good. And our head coach, calls timeout. We go to the bench, and you're expected to get ripped. And all he did was say, "Hey, go back to the locker room and sit down where you were sitting before we came out here, and let's start over." And we're looking at him like, "What?" And so we ran off the court, sat down, and ran back out, and then came back and won the game. But think about it, right? Another coach, unique situation. A really good friend of mine. He had players that were late, not going to class, so he sets them down and says, "Your guys need to be here at 6:30 in the morning." And he's mad. He calls me about 2 hours later and said, "Hey, meet me for breakfast at 7." I go, "Wait a minute, 7? I thought you were going to meet the team at 6:30. No, they're going to be there." So we go have breakfast. We show up at about 8:15. The whole team is in the dugout, madder than a hornet, because he's not there. They've been waiting for an hour and 45 minutes or longer, maybe, hour and 45 minutes. He comes around the corner of the dugout, looks at him, and goes, "How does it feel when somebody's late?"
Wow.
I thought, wow, that was effective. Didn't have to MF him, didn't have to dog, didn't have to get him to throw up. He just internalized that into a teaching moment. And of course, that team went on and made it to the Junior College World Series. And it was just a unique way to solve a problem that the kids aren't aware of, right? Everybody doesn't solve it that way. So it was pretty cool.
Okay, so that is see, that's the stuff that I love hearing. So I want to hear this. Just in general, whatever comes to mind. I know that there's so much going on in your head that you want me to be specific, but I'm going to be general with this question. If you could go back, knowing what you know now about coaching at the collegiate level, coaching young men, if you could know then what you know now, what would you have done differently?
That's a good question. Well, nothing, because I was perfect as a coach, right? Yeah.
Of course.
Well, there's a couple things professionally I would have done differently as it relates to my career and job situation, but that's
Okay.
from a player's perspective. One of the things that I think was really important, and it came from being in those towns in Oklahoma, small town, hardcore baseball people, and the small towns in Louisiana, you find how important the game is to those guys. If I had to do it over again, I would have loaded up a college team maybe, and Abilene Christian just did it. They went to the Dominican Republic.
That's right.
I think I would have loaded up a team and taken them down there to expose them to a situation where the game is so important to the culture and to the people and to the athletes, as opposed to where am I ranked on a list?
Wow.
Because the ranking on the list has nothing to do with what happens to you when you're in the batter's box or on the mound. You have to perform. Well, the pressure down there to perform and become really good, to get an opportunity to play professional baseball is real. And I think that might be something that I might have done back then that I've learned that may be helpful now.
Man, I know one of those schools that I played at college, Augustana University. Shout out, national champions 2016. Coach Hubert takes them down. They go down to the Dominican every 2 years, I believe it is now, something like that. And having the conversation with him is he would tell you it's a game changer for the program because it teaches it what you just explained. I mean, you can't make it up how important the game is to those young men. And I know this, just hearing you say that, like, rankings don't mean diddly poo. How hard your fastball is doesn't mean diddly poo if you don't need the game, if you don't love the game, if you don't give your best to the game, because it will expose you at some point. And that's what I always loved about competition was, man, the rankings, they were nothing when I was playing, and I'm sure they were not even a thought when you were playing. But it's gotten to the point now, right? Sorry, you're only 5 years older than me.
When the draft hit, that's when you were ranked.
That's exactly right. And that's exactly where I was going with it was you can have your awards, you can have the everything that makes you your parents or the people around you feel good. I want to be drafted. I want to play, I want to keep playing. I want to keep going to the next. And if you don't have that in you, I don't know how good any of that stuff really is.
Yeah. I tell this story a lot. You know, our youth team group that we had, the nucleus. I mean, I can remember going to Houston and we had 3 eventual professional pitchers throw, and my son, was drafted, but we gave up 7 home runs in one game to a Houston powerhouse. And I'm sitting out in left field watching the balls fly over my head, and I'm going, holy mackerel. This is like they're 13 years old. And then when they get older, and now we're at the area code tryouts, our same guys that are on the mound are carving those guys up, right? They're still great, but our guys have caught up. Well, you have to put your child in those kinds of situations. And how do you handle that when your 4 best guys just gave up 7 home runs? And I mean, they were moonshots, right?
Whiplash.
Well, you got to go, hey, let's go, right? You don't coddle them. You don't make them feel good. You let them experience that, right? And that's what happens in the Dominican. If they don't make the play, another guy plays in front of them, right? In 2 minutes. It's amazing. I mean, we literally had a workout there one day with a couple guys hitting. They pulled the batting cage off. The mound got packed down. They took the screens off. And in 5 minutes, they had a game going. And they were good players. I mean, really good players. Kid made an error at third base. Guy jumps off the top of the dugout, takes his place at third base.
Wow.
Okay, well, that's one of the problems with youth league baseball, like we've talked about. The rosters aren't big enough. You can't use the lineup card to teach a young person discipline and responsibility. I watched a young kid fall down making a throw the other day and laying on the ground like he was hurt, and he tilts his head up to see if any of the coaches are coming to get him, and he lays down again. Son, get up, please, and play. Or, hey, if you're hurt, come on over here and sit down, and we'll put another guy at second base. Would have been over in 10 seconds, but it turned into a 3 or 4 minute ordeal. And that's not playing the game the right way. That's not being able to discipline the player to get them to understand it. And those are those are lessons that, have to be learned sooner than later, because we all get benched. We all get taken out of, the high profile high school guy that goes to Texas or goes to A&M or goes to LSU. When they're lined up against a guy who's got 3 years of experience on him, you know how that is. I mean, we used to go back as old guys and play our high school basketball team and just beat the heck out of them.
That's right.
Right. They were much more physical and more athletic than we were, but we could beat them. And our coaches loved that. They loved that experience for those guys. Well, that's what happens. And you got to grow through that. So our group that got bombed that day became a really good team. And 2 or 3 of those guys have made it to the big leagues and are having careers. And it's been great for them. But those are hard lessons that we have to prepare our kids for and prepare our parents for to handle the best way, I think.
I want to get your take on this, and we'll go about 5-10 more minutes here on episode 56 of the Baseball Forward podcast with Coach Jim Schwanke. I'm your host, Ross Hawley, always hosting Ross Hawley. Nobody knows who I am and nobody cares. But you know what? You know what, Jim? I got a pretty good voice, I think. I got a pretty good voice. Hey, I want to say.
My wife says you do.
Hey, I want to say this to you. So my wife asked me the other day. Coach Schwanke was out at we had a baseball game. His grandson, Road Dog, shout out to Road Dog, was playing in front of us in the 8 a.m. game. We played the 9:45 game on Sunday, which we missed church for, which is another topic. But walk up, Jim is sitting there watching baseball, very unassuming. And me personally, I look at him, I'm like, he is the epitome of what a baseball guy looks like. May comes up, my wife, and she says, after we leave and we're sitting at home on Sunday night, and she goes, "Hey, what does Jim watch? What does Jim see in the game? What does he say?" And I'm like, oh man, there's so much going on there. He's seen so much. I would have to know specifically to ask him, like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? So generally speaking, like from a novice person, okay, hey, you coached Oklahoma State, you coach at LSU, you're an agent, you do stuff, your Ballingy group, okay, you evaluate dudes. That's been part of your job your whole life at a high level. So when you're out at a 10-year-old, 11-year-old game, what is Jim Schwanke watching? What jumps out to you?
Well, the first game, it was a total mismatch. It was between a loaded age group team against a team that was playing up. And, I actually took a picture of a runner at second base and sent it to a couple of coaches. I said, "Hey, my grandson was playing against a Ole Miss running back commit." Because the kid was so much bigger. In essence, when you're watching that, you're looking for athleticism. You're looking for something that jumps out. You're looking for kids that play the game and have actions that all of a sudden become really important when they get older. If it's a little guy and he's got great actions and all that kind of stuff, well, he's going to grow, right? The big guy, this is one of the problems, is the big guy that dominates the game doesn't learn the same thing that the little guy learns. And so he gets passed by, even though he's a superior athlete when he's 16, 17, 18 years old, because he hasn't been taught how to handle that. In our group, we had a player join us because he got tired of this other team. And he was literally the best player in the state of Texas as a 12-year-old. Like, he could run, he could throw, he could hit. He got abused on the mound as a 12-year-old, so his arm started hurting him all the time. Ugh. He would get in rundowns and never get tagged out, that kind of stuff. So he never learned how to run the bases. He just outran the game. So he comes to us and as the pitching gets better, he starts to struggle. And he starts chasing stuff. And all I said to him was, "Hey, when you go home tonight, sit down in your bed, dream about playing in Wrigley Field and where the pitches are relative to the outside corner of the plate. Okay. Learn how to visualize pitches on the plate and pitches off the plate. And I swear to God, in 2 weeks, he stopped swinging at bad pitches. It
Wow.
was amazing, right? And so you're looking for those athletes that have a chance to, well, in my case, that have a chance to be superior, and how they compare to other kids, how they're being coached at that age, right? And that team was pretty well coached. They did things pretty much the right way. And but when you watch an individual athlete run, is he running like a 40-year-old, or is he running like Usain Bolt, right?
Mm.
Does he have great form? Does he move the bat? Does he have hand speed when he's pitching? Is he have the fundamentals that it looks like his body? He's a good mover. You hear that all the time, and so that's what I'm looking for. And I'm looking for that in my grandson. He's ate up with the game. He loves the game. He loves all about it. He loves the commercial part of it. He's into cards and dreaming about play. He'll ask me about players, and I'm going, wow, where'd that name come from?
Man,
Right.
that's awesome.
And then he hits that day. He lined out to the second baseman. He lined out to the right fielder, and those were both at bats against a guy who looked like Bartolo Colon's, son.
Overmatching him. Should have overmatched him. Yep.
And he did a pretty good job. And so you're not upset that he didn't get a hit. You're excited because he hit the ball good against a really good competition level at his age. It was good. So that's what I'm looking at. And then obviously you don't want to see kids, do things wrong emotionally, throwing bats, throwing helmets, doing things. Take it like a man, so to speak. Or when you strike out in the softball game, take it as a mature player, go back to the dugout, give the other person credit. Sometimes there's guys that are just better than you.
That's right.
You got to learn how to compete against that guy to progress.
Okay, I'm gonna take you down this path. Then you don't have to give me 3, but we'll call you what the kids say today. They call them old heads. As an old head, see that to me is like a compliment. You are mature in the game, Coach Schwanke.
Yes,
When you
definitely.
when you go out there, when you go out and you watch baseball today, I don't care what age it is, because you sent me pictures of 14-year-olds getting their shoes tied by their parents, which that is mind blowing to me. So I want to know this: is there like a top 3 type pet peeves for an old head like Coach Schwanke in youth baseball? When you go out there and you see it, you're like, oh, I wish it would not be like that, because that's stuff that, to me, if you hear it, the reason why people still do it is probably because they haven't heard it yet. And if they just understand that doing it the right way gives you a competitive advantage, it's not making fun of you. Like, to a certain extent, it's making fun of you. Okay, if you're 14, you're getting your shoes tied by your parent. Grow up. But here's what I do want to say: like, you don't know what you don't know. As parents, as players, as coaches, whatever, you don't know what you don't know, and sometimes you just got to hear it. So, from someone who has been there and done that and been to the mountaintop, like, do you have pet peeves that you watch and you're like, I wish it wouldn't be like that?
Well, yeah, when a hitter, and again, Billy Bean, who, the Moneyball general manager, was one of the best high school players in the country in his age group. And he would destroy backbreaks. I mean, he didn't like the game, right? So yeah, that's his own words. I mean, he never hardly watched the game when he was the general manager. He'd go do the exercise bike when the Oakland A's are playing in Moneyball, right?
Yeah.
And so when you see someone that's that destructive, both internally and to their players around in the dugout, that's bad.
Ooh.
And a lot of times you get that, and I go to places and don't tell people I'm coming. I'll go to practices when we're talking about guys that have a chance to play, at the highest level. Show up at a practice that no one knows I'm there just to watch.
Mm.
Or I'll go watch a parent interact with players, and they don't know who I am. And so because to persevere in this game and get to the big leagues and then have the strength and character and talent to stay there,
Mm-hmm.
it's rare, right? And so you want to identify that as best you can. Somebody has to love the game, love the work, handle adversity, excel under pressure. All those things show up at different times. But that being said, those same things can show up in an average baseball player, that he can take and turn into a career as a salesman, as a a construction engineer, civil engineer, any of those things, those lessons that you can learn playing the game are really important. And so when I see somebody going off the rails, that's a goner in my mind. We have a hard enough time dealing with people that we think are headed the right direction because it's such a tough game. It kills you.
Yeah, it does.
It really does. I'm trying to think of a couple other pet peeves. I have a pet peeve of coaching every pitch. I can't stand it. Right. Players have to make adjustments on. That was one of the great things about Skip Bertman. He didn't deal with mechanics much about how to deliver the baseball. He just had, and these concepts are going to be part of our pitching mind map. The things that he taught were how to make adjustments on your own, because you are on the mound on your own. You are in the batter's box on your own. You don't have a headphone. And, hey, you do this. You got to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to make those adjustments. Well, his job was to teach that and just drill it into them. And then the game starts. And then you just watch. You're not yelling out, hey, make the adjustment with the curveball, change your grip, throw strikes, all that stuff. Jim Palmer, one of my all-time favorites. There's a great book. Together we were 11'9", because Jim Palmer was 6'5" and Earl Weaver was 5'4". So together we were 11'9". He'd yell at Jim Palmer, a Hall of Fame pitcher, throw strikes, smoking a cigarette in the dugout, and Palmer would yell back, an expletive and cuss him out. I am, you little midget. I'm trying, my arm hurts. And he'd throw a complete game, and it's just amazing how that continues every day, whether it's a parent yelling through the chain link or a coach like the other day who was yelling at a player about a specific situation in the middle of a game where that could have been taught in a practice setting, right? To everybody, to all the players.
That's right.
That isn't helping the player. That's embarrassing the player, actually. And so those things have to be, those are pet peeves. I mean, if I watch one of my hitters go to LSU to go into the box and watch them compete, I am not going to yell something at him in the middle of the at-bat. That's what I'm going to do, right? If I didn't coach him well enough, that's my fault, right? So those are a couple, tearing up things, mid-competition coaching, during an event, during an at-bat, during an inning on the mound. If you got something to say, go to the mound. Don't be yelling it from the dugout, right?
That's good.
And training, I really think that, and again, it goes back to who is Henry Aaron's strength coach? Who is Ted Williams's mental hitting coach, right? I mean, we've created because of the amount of information in the speed of our life now, you can get information instantaneously. And we just put together a deal for one of our high profile prospects and took all the analytics that he created over this part of the season and boiled it down to 2 or 3 things that he can add to his arsenal right now to make himself a better competitor.
Wow.
Take that to your bullpen, practice it, take it to the game this weekend. And he was so appreciative of that. Now, you're going to deal with how many pitching coaches did you deal with in pro career? And you were there for how many years?
2 years. 2 years, and there were
4 or 5.
Oh, yeah. Well, talking to you, 8, 9, 10.
All right. And everybody has an opinion. But the only opinion that needs to matter is the player. He's the one that has to make the choice of what Ross Hawley just told me could help me. I'm going to try it. Right. And kids at some point have to turn off.
That's right.
The clutter that's around them and go, this is the direction I'm going. And that's our job here with this is the direction we think you should go. Coach, this is the way we think you should help yourself in your program. Not all of it, but pick out the stuff that could really help you grow as a coach, grow as a baseball parent or a softball parent. Not all of it. We're still learning. Coach Ward's still learning today.
Wow.
Skip Bertman, we'll talk and that's what you said, 20 years ago. And I said, yeah. He says, well, these guys aren't doing that. I said, well, correct. And so that's the fun of this for me. That's the fun of getting Coach Ward to open up and that mind and that coaching ability that he had to get stuff out of me when I played for him. The information he has now is far more superior. And he'll tell you right now, we got to simplify it down. Now, at Oklahoma State, he'd send me, hey, get this guy, debrief this guy, get him calmed down. Because he was so driven and so passionate about what he taught that, he learned as a coach, a great coach, to just back off. Guy's not listening to me anymore.
Wow.
Hell out of the way. Right. And that's what I did. And what I did at LSU is I tried to get our guys to coach each other. Right. You guys, you and so-and-so go do these tee drills together and work at it because you guys are working on the same thing. And it became really a fun deal for me because we didn't have 5, 10 All-Americans and 6 first-rounders. We had guys that would compete. And we had some headliners, obviously, some of the great players of all time. But we didn't have 20 of them, right?
Yeah.
And found a way to win because of his system as a pitching guy and a head coach, the way that he would get guys that were average to play really good, guys that were good to play really great. And in all candor, he stayed the hell away from the guys that were great.
Man.
Gave them some cool things to learn, to index and use as they competed. And that's what I learned. I learned to get the hell out of the way of Brandon Larson. Once Brandon Larson figured out a couple things that he could do physically to make himself better and practice that way, the guy hit 40 home runs. Come on. Right.
This is what I love about it is I'm listening to you. I listen to what you're saying, and I'm a dad, and I'm having the humility right now to tell you, I know the look. My sons, now's not the time, Dad. Hey, and I've learned, because I'm listening, shut up. Just shut up. And you know what, Jim, you've told me this, and others have told me is, if they come and get you and they want to work, they're probably going to listen. But if you're having to take them out there, and it doesn't always need to be gab. And I am so thankful for that because as a dad, and I hope this resonates with other guys out there, or at least give it a try. If you're listening to this episode and you're hearing me, I'm just a dad. I'm a 45-year-old dad that knows a little bit about baseball. And I'm humble enough to admit when I get that look of shut up. Okay. Hey, they're not trying to be disrespectful. But some of them probably are, but that's okay. I feel like when I get that look, or I've had that look in the past, it's them telling me, I'll take ownership of this. Let me figure this out. And that's my place to step back and let them, because now it's, hey, Dad, can we go hit? Hey, Dad, will you go hit me ground balls? Hey, Dad, will you go? Cool. And the pressure, as a dad, the pressure is off me, because you know what? It's not my career. It's not no matter if my sons play the game or they don't, and I mean this genuinely, it doesn't take away my love for the game, man. I will have, it's just like I have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, I have a personal relationship with baseball, and it's my relationship. It's not their relationship. And if they want to have one, guess what they're going to do? They're going to pursue it.
I'm going to take you one step further. All right.
Do it.
So your son should hit fungos to your other son.
They do.
Okay, there you go. Self-toss is one of the great, and it'll be part of the learning process. And our process here is so good because it allows a coach to coach, a dad to watch, and it allows the one player to learn how to self-toss, and allows the other one to make plays, and you can coach both of them. And I mean, I have high school coaches that'll tell you we're still self-tossing every day. Okay, well that's great, and that's one of the great tools, because it doesn't matter. And I tell the kids, it doesn't matter how well I can hit a fungo. I mean, I hit a light pole at Wichita State over the fence during infield and outfield in a regional one day, right? The old legendary guy with the Angels that could hit fly balls for the pitchers running on the warning track. It doesn't matter how well I hit a fungo. How well can you hit?
Wow.
It doesn't matter how much I know about the game. How much do you know? And so by the same token, I'll tell guys, I can screw you up in 5 minutes. I could overcoach you and get your mind blown in 5 minutes to where you won't be able to hit or pitch, but I'm not going to do that. But I could. And there are some guys that do that.
That's right. And it's not funny. It is not funny. Oh, man. Jim Schwanke, you know what? I was going to ask you this. You kind of already said it. So give me a brief 30-second answer. In the 10 months of Baseball Forward, all the podcasts we've done, the recordings, the development of Baseball Forward, what's been most enjoyable to you so far?
The fact that we have a journey here we're going to take with my mentor and with Skip, even though Skip's, in a situation where he can't, but we're going to use his tools and bring him to this system. Just the fact that we're on this journey that, again, keeps us involved in a relationship of baseball that's fun. The helping people enjoy the game and explore the game, it's worth its weight in gold.
Amen. Baseball Forward, episode 56 of the Baseball Forward podcast. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks.